And here we are. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Daric. Thank God I'm here with Daric. Because it's 14 past the hour. And this is the third time I'm saying I'm usually very punctual. But, you know, life is what it is sometimes. And I have not had the opportunity to be able to succeed with Riverside. And that's not going to stop.
Troubleshoot in real life.
Yes, we're troubleshooting real life. And that's the thing about going live. You know what? When you are observing a podcast that is live, I hope you can appreciate that it is a little risky and that it's not easy. And I am sad that, the chat isn't going to be open and that people probably think, oh, she's just a flake. I heard that the weather in Chicago is good today, which it is for the first time for a long, long time. In 2025, it's the first good day. It's March 10th, for Christ's sake. So they might be right to think that, she's flaking off. She doesn't care.
We were early.
I know we were early.
We were just trying to get this Riverside thing figured out, but
I know.
it just
And it
won't be
keeps
live.
giving me an error message. It's not a process error. I finally got the process, but whatever. I'll, figure it out. I'm not giving up.
Well, what we could do is we could do a brief talk here, and then we can figure out the live streaming thing and then reschedule for a live streaming. Or we just do an interview here and we post it and nobody gets to talk to me, which is fine with me.
It's up to you. I'd be willing to try that. My problem is that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get a hold of my support lady right now because she made time in the morning to come in and check with me that everything was set up right. And going to StreamYard would laugh at me. They'd say, why'd you leave us? Because StreamYard was very easy to do, but it's so pixelated. Now here, Riverside is professional quality. Even if it doesn't, I don't look super clear to you right now, it doesn't matter. It's recording on two different tracks, mine and yours. And then it combines them. And it's much, much higher quality when it's on YouTube. So I'm not sure how I'm going to actually do this because the last time, this is the third time I've had problems. This is the third time I'm using Riverside. The first time we started just a little late and it did work. The last time it worked, but not on Facebook. I guess maybe that's par for course. It starts with, okay, you got it. Next time, you only got it on one. Now you have it on none.
The more complicated way would be to just go live on each platform and have them running at the same time.
That's what it does. That's what it's supposed to do. That's what I'm paying for it to do.
Right, through Riverside. But if you were to cancel out Riverside and just try to stream them individually, maybe
when you stream on YouTube or when you stream on Facebook, both require streaming software. In other words, they allow it. They give you the portal and they kind of say, okay, we can show you, but they don't provide that software.
I thought I just used your whatever camera you had set up. Because I know when you go to Facebook, you can use your phone's camera to do Facebook Live.
Yes. Hey, dang. Sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, why not? Or YouTube.
I don't know about YouTube, but I'm going to go on Facebook Live. Watch. Okay, how does it go? Now I'm so distressed that I don't think I even know how to go Facebook Live. Where the hell's the live?
For me, it was, let me see on my phone.
Because I'm used to going through Instagram for lives.
Yep. So you go to add. So if you're on your phone, you go to the plus button at the top, and then the fourth one down says live. But the question is going to be, can you add somebody to that?
Well, I'm going to be like this. You know what? You go live. I go live at the same time.
No, right here. They'll be invited to join your live.
That's right. Okay, here we go.
So you can go down to the plus button at the bottom.
I'm doing it, I guess. Comments will appear here. I don't know how comments can appear there when it's only a little. No. Hello? Let me see. How can I bring somebody else? Guest requests. Allow viewers to request to join on your video. Okay, so can you get on to my Facebook? Because it says guest requests, which means that trying to reconnect. Why did we lose connection? I'm live. Hi guys, it's Effie. It is Effie. From what the fuck?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to be joined by Daric because Daric was my guest today. Well, are you on now live? On
Yeah,
my
so
live?
I invited you to one. I think you can invite me.
I need for you to request. Hold on. In the your viewers, it says allow viewers to request to join you. Okay, so I'm doing that. But it says your viewers. It's God. You can invite everybody to watch.
You can invite people
Yeah, look,
to
you can
join.
to watch. You know, you're saying, "Hey, I'm live. Come over."
Are you sure that's to, or is that to invite to the live, to the video live?
I don't know. I'm not going to do it. I'm too scared. Oh wait, I should search you. Okay, hold on. Your viewers. Let me see if I can find. That's how you would do it.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to search your name. Come on, Derek, and see if it comes up. Invite. Oh yeah, you're right. If I started pressing it, it would invite everybody.
Yeah.
And then we'd have a boatload of people. Do you see an invite anywhere?
I'm looking.
Let me know when you see it.
Okay, Effie's live.
Does it say that I'm live? Whoops. Whoa. What happened?
It does say that you're live. Let me see.
Wait. Stop. Okay. I am lucky I have you as a friend now.
Okay, it's a little bit delayed.
Why I have to do something else? Hold on. Whoop. This is okay. Enough. My browser is going a bit nuts.
Did you get my
I approve. Ask or to join the live podcast. So it looks to me like I've sent 2 requests, but we'll see.
There it is. There we go.
My God, I can't.
That's one way to do it.
I know. Talk about troubleshooting. Okay, so this is really cool because we are on Facebook Live and we're also on stream on Riverside.
Yeah.
And we're recording. But we weren't able to, I wasn't able to connect Riverside to YouTube and Facebook. And Facebook said, let us whisper in Daric's ear. Tell her to come on live. So that's what we have done. So, you know, it's kind of funny because it asked if I wanted to invite people, and I said no. And I have an idea that nothing went out on Facebook, but it doesn't matter. Wow. And do I look weird? I look weird. And I've got it plugged in. I don't want to unplug it just because of the fact that that would run out, I guess, battery. I don't know. Anyhow, I want to say thank you very, very much for coming here.
We got this. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Daric and I are pretty good friends. So it's great when something like this happens and you're with a good friend. But this is what I would say in the English language is expressed as a little bit of grit or tenacity, because we did 2 takes, you know, meaning like we tried twice on Riverside, and now Riverside is still recording at this point because I don't know. I don't think I could actually put Facebook on YouTube. I don't think that would go, but this will later. Won't be live. But I think that even though I'm sad that, you know, we can't be open to the chat right now, I just want to say thank you, Daric. Thank you for helping me get to this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the one thing that we're taught is how to solve problems, and it may not be the ideal situation, but we are able to adjust and figure it out and get something going. So thank you for having me.
This actually reminds me of a professor I had when I was that I was working for when I was at the University of California, and we were talking about problem solving. And what's it mean to think outside the box? And he was telling me that when he was in, I think it was the Korean War, he was an older gentleman, that they felt they finally won the war because of American ingenuity. American think outside the box, because so many other, armies and such were thinking inside the box, like, everything they'd been taught about how to conduct war. And the Americans just decided, nah, ain't working. We're in trouble. So
Yeah.
they allowed themselves to have the creativity and the guts and grits to go ahead and do it any which way. So I'm grateful that we're doing this now. Hey, is your microphone orange?
It is, yes.
Oh, I like it very much.
Yeah.
Very much. Okay, well, we're here today to actually interview you. So now that I've gotten over this, well, we have a workabout, and we're going to have multiple places where we can record this. Let me start by asking some of the questions I planned.
Shoot.
And I can't figure out a way to share that. Oh, yes, I can. Okay, here's a picture. Can you see this picture?
I can, yes.
All right. This is a picture of you. How old were you?
Oh gosh, I had to have been 5 or 6.
5 or 6 years old. You're cute as a button, man. Just adorable. But how serious were you already about baseball at that age?
So from what my mom tells me, and my memory as well, just in general, is not very good. But from what my mom tells me, I have told her since I was probably around that age that I was going to play professional baseball. Now, look, what 5-year-old knows what the hell they're talking about? Zero, right?
Did you know, or did with the big boys?
What's that?
Did you know as a 6-year-old? Yeah, I guess maybe you would have. The word would have been used: professional teams, professional players.
Yep. Yeah, so we would go to Angels games because I grew up in Southern California. And from the time I was 2 years old, my mom said I picked up a bat and would want her to throw anything at me so I could hit it. So she'd crumple up like socks in a little ball, and whatever I can use for a bat, she would throw to me, and I would hit all the time. And so
Wow.
I never played another sport in my life.
Nothing else?
Nothing else. Couple reasons why. One, I wasn't good at any other sport.
Seriously?
I wasn't. Well, because I never got to. So what I fail to realize a lot in life and business is that my 5-year-old self wanting to do something, it took me 17 years of consistent baseball all the time to get to a level where you're considered professional. Actually, it took me 12 years because I got drafted at 17, but I was, in the minor leagues. And
That's a huge accomplishment. That's
oh,
it.
tremendous.
Yep.
I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I have had in my life, and I a lot of times forget to remember that it doesn't happen overnight. And even though I said I wanted to be a pro baseball player from the time I was 5 or whatever that age was, I didn't realize it that everything I was doing on a day-to-day basis for many, many years was building my skill set, was building my mental strength to be able to handle whatever it was that I had to go through, not only during the growth period, but also once I got there. All the years prior of the work and consistency and realizing that it was a game of failure and that the majority of people would fail 7 out of 10 times and become multi millionaires. I think it kind of just taught me over time how to be persistent and how to not give up and how not to let one failure determine the rest of your day or your week or your month or whatever. So getting back to, reality is, we go through a lot of failures in life, but that can't stop you from trying to achieve whatever it is you're going to achieve, because failure brings experience, and experience allows you to weather the storm.
Is wise. That's very wise. However, I have to ask you, as a little one, as a child, and there must have been a lot of times when you were understandably wanting to quit.
I would imagine so, but at the same time, when you're young, or when I was young, I did things because I enjoyed them. And so, even though I may have said I wanted to be a pro baseball player when I grew up, when I was growing up, that wasn't really something that I was thinking about. It was kind of like, my 5-year-old son wants to be on the SWAT team, right? Because he loves helping people and saving people, and he sees the hero aspect of it. And we love our first responders, right? So obviously, with children, you have this big vision, but I don't think you have a reality that it's an actual vision. It's like, oh, okay, just my dream. But we don't really know what dreams are at that age. Thinking back, the only times I feel like I wanted to quit was when I was being punished by a coach and we were having to run until we threw up. But again, you want to quit in that moment. But when you get through that practice and you get to the game and you have success or you guys win, you forget about all the negative stuff. So quitting in that moment, yes. Quitting as a whole, no. I don't think I ever thought about ever quitting the game of baseball.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is really, really fantastic. And having been drafted at 17, did it mean you had to leave home, or were you, able to stay home? And who were you drafted by at 17?
So I was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals
Nice.
in 2003, and it did not mean that I got to stay home. What it meant was my mom had to sign my contract with me because I was not a legal adult. And so I graduated high school. So on June 3rd, 2003 was the day I got drafted, was the day my dreams were becoming reality. And on that same day, we were in the high school playoffs. And so we had a semifinal game at Long Beach State University. And so in the morning, we had some friends over. We had family over during the draft because at that time, they only did it via the internet. And so they didn't do like a live in person draft. And so we were all surrounded around the computer. And I got the phone call from the Cardinals. And, we had a little discussion. And they're like, hey, we want to take you, with the 28th pick in the first round. Is this something that, you would be interested in? And leading up to that day, what my advisor at the time, he turned into my agent, they were saying that I would probably be a late second round pick or early third round pick. So to get a call in the first round was like, holy shit, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so of course, there's always the money thing, right? So we weren't really sure where we would fit in money wise, but considering I was supposed to go much later, whatever they were offering me seemed a lot more than what I was supposed to get originally.
Right.
And so there was a little bit of negotiating after the fact, but I was like, of course, like, let's go buy Cardinals hats right now and let's do this. And so that's what we ended up doing. So they called my name. I said, yes, let's do it. We went to the store. We all bought Cardinals hats. And then the adults, because we still had that game that night.
I was going to say, you still had the playoff game.
Still had the playoff game. All the adults got in a limo, got drunk, drove to the field, and we were playing against Riverside Arlington, which is another good high school out in California. And because it was the day of the draft and now all the fans knew that I was drafted, during the game they were all yelling that I was overrated. Seriously?
What the fuck? I mean, what the heck?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Well,
just because, I mean, wait a minute. I understand that you had expectations that it would be on the second round or the third round. But I'd have to hate the person that I'd be, saying something like that. I'd be like, yes, you're at that level, go.
but we're fighting for a spot in the championship game. So the visiting fans or the Riverside fans,
I see.
they were trying to, this is part of sports, right?
Psychology.
Exactly. So they
Okay.
were ragging me, and unfortunately for them, they turned up on the wrong side of the game. We ended up winning. I hit a double. I scored a run,
Oh my God.
and we ended up
What
winning the
a
high school
day.
championship.
What a day, Daric.
It was pretty intense.
Oh,
So,
wow. How long did it take before your feet were back on the ground?
well, it had to happen quick because we had a game that night. So,
I
I
know,
was,
but the game was probably shot even more adrenaline in you because of the fact that you were doing well and you did win. I mean, that would have just, right off.
yeah,
And I think I would have, I don't know, it would probably be a nice long time before my feet were on the ground again. Like, oh, I got to do chores or this is, regular life because it
yeah.
actually wouldn't be regular life. From there on, your life had to be very, very different. Is that coming through? Okay. So
You froze on me on the Facebook.
yeah, it's because I got a call.
Oh,
Okay. Don't call me. So now I hear it.
we have to get it back live on Facebook somehow.
I'm still live. It says live.
Are you?
Yeah. And I can still see you. Now I can't. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to come in and invite you again. Let me see. I am going to add, send invite. Daric, you're helping me grow so much.
Good. That's what we do.
I know. Who was it that I saw? His name is Zane. The very first time I ever went on a live, I had the camera that
The
way.
other way?
And I only had one person on, and he stayed the whole time. Zing.
Really?
See?
Did you accept it on the Facebook?
Yes. Yeah, you're on.
Shoot, it still says joining.
Well, that's okay. It might be just a slow internet because next to your face it says a little X with remove, which you only do if the person's on. But now you froze.
Troubleshooting.
Yep. That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't it?
Well, mine is not showing that. I can't see you. I can only hear you on
You can't see me?
the Riverside.
Hold on. Oh, it says I'm muted on here. Hold on. Why? Because I've turned off the volume. No, let's see. Can you hear me now?
No, I'm going to try to rejoin.
Now we're both muted. What the?
I'm going to try to rejoin now.
Okay. So then let me remove you. Change to viewer. You've frozen on me. I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Okay. Approved. Here it comes. Just a sec. I'm sending you an invite. Okay, now you've been dropped and an invite has been sent. There you go. Are you back?
Still says joining.
Well, I still see you. And it seems like you're live on for me, but
Okay. I don't see you, but because I can only hear you through my computer now.
wait, but Riverside's still up. Can't you see me on Riverside?
On Riverside, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Facebook, no.
Well, okay, so let me go see what I see on Facebook. Sorry, it's just so much fun. It's so much fun. I mean, why would now? How do you? No, wait. I can't watch myself live when I'm on a live. That's a bit okay. Oh, I actually can. Okay, now we're whack. I'm frozen on there. I don't know why.
Yeah, you're frozen on my end too.
Huh. Broadcast is waiting for a signal. It should resume shortly. Well, Riverside's still recording, so this is interesting that we're doing all this. This is cool, in a way. I'm just going to put thank you. So I guess since it's on streaming live I can chat on there. Jared calls me Auntie. Auntie Effie. Oh, how interesting. Okay. How funny. All right. Well, I'm going to continue. Wait, you disappeared.
I know. I'm trying to get it so that I can get a live feed.
On the Facebook?
Yeah. Can you close out your Facebook on your phone and restart it?
Sure.
And
Hold
then
on.
I
have
will
to
send
finish
you.
it and then start again. So hold on.
Yep.
Ending live broadcast. That's probably going to take a minute. Okay. This video will be deleted in 30 days. Due to a change in live video storage. Okay. Fair enough. All right, here we go. I turn this into a reel. I can come back on that. I just want to get back on with my friend. Wait, what's going on? It seems to want to trap me into reels before I'm done. Don't know why. I'm just going to say done. Okay, now I'm going to go back to live. Okay, it is go live. Here we go.
All right, let me
Start live broadcasting. Go live. Oh, share to story. Okay. Broadcast failed. You know what? Okay, gonna have to sign out again. It's all right. Give me a minute and then I can try to get back on. But it's interesting that an athlete's life can be changed so dramatically, so fast.
What happens all the time. You hear the horror stories, anything you can imagine, from family issues to substance abuse to and injuries is most common, to not getting the opportunity that you thought you deserved. And there's so many different things that can alter the path of one. Everything has to go right in reality.
Was your mom, how was she about having her son, go, like disappear sort of thing?
Well, she knew it was my dream to play ball. So, I mean, she was a single mom from the time I was 2. And so, there were a time where she had 3 jobs just to be able to pay for the gear that I wanted, right? We had, when I was in high school, I mean, this doesn't include, the time leading up to high school. Just for example, the bats we were using at the time were $300.
What? Wait. Each bat? This isn't letting me go live. It keeps failing. They may have like an amount of time that they want you to go over. I'm not sure. So it just keeps saying failed. Yeah, I suspect that it doesn't. Yeah, it's failed now 4 times. So I'm going to let it rest. It worked while it did. And I should be able to go in and get some shorts out of that. But I'm going to let's just use Riverside. And we learned something. And that's good. I just want to say thank you for that.
Of course.
$1 for one freaking bat?
Yeah, $300 for a bat. The gloves were $250 for a good glove. My mom worked in the sporting goods business. She worked for a company called Avia Sporting Goods, which sold shoes. And through that, she met a guy out of, oh my gosh, Minnesota, I believe, that at one point, as a thank you to her, bought me a new bat, $300 bat. Because in high school, what ended up happening was my bat got dented.
Well, there were metal bats, huh?
Metal bats.
Okay, yep. Sorry, I envisioned wood.
Yeah, no, thank goodness. I mean, that's a whole different story. Those are $100 a bat, $150 a bat, but they break. Metal bats don't typically break. So
it got dented?
Huh?
So your bat got dented?
Yeah, the bat got dented. I was very particular in what part of the bat I wanted to use or have facing towards the pitcher. So constant contact in that spot ended up denting the bat. And so during one game, I think the umpire, and we're not allowed to use dented bats because it's a defunct bat or something. I don't know what the rules were, but the umpire wouldn't allow me to use the bat any longer. And so that was a problem. And so I say all that to get back to my mom doing whatever she could to make sure that I had the gear needed to be successful, the gear I thought I needed to be successful. So, growing up with my mom working multiple jobs just to make sure we had a roof over our head and the right the right gear. And, even though it wasn't, there she is. There's Mama.
She's a very special lady to do that.
Yep. Yes, she is.
Was it her mom that knit
Yes.
the,
Nana Faith.
so her mother was the one that had put together the quilt for my grandbaby, Sammy?
Yep, that is correct.
I hope I get to meet these ladies.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Nana Faith is not doing as many quilts anymore. She's got Parkinson's disease and she's got some eye issues, so a little bit harder. But and my mom just got another new puppy.
Yay.
She loves animals.
That's great.
She'll be out here in 2 weeks, and her husband's 60th birthday is March 23rd, so we'll get to celebrate that together.
So then she married. Were you in the home, or had you already graduated?
Yeah, no, I had graduated and moved on. Obviously, I was on the road at 17, so
Yep.
she was adamant about waiting until we were out of the house. So there weren't any distractions or anything.
I understand that.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a time when I wasn't really bad looking,
You're still beautiful, Effie.
No, there was a time. It was funny that my son and my daughter and my son said, "Mom, why don't you date? You could get people to date with you." And I was like, "No, I just didn't want to complicate things." Their dad was effing around with a bunch of different people. They had no idea who was going to be in their life there. And our marriage had split up because of an infidelity. I felt it was the better thing to do. And it was, I think, better for them, but maybe not for me. It's a selfless thing to do when you're like, nope, I'm protecting you. I'm watching for you. And God bless your mom. Do you know, I have to tell you this because it's a little bit of a further ad. This picture that I use on my social media, right? Can you
Which
see?
one?
Hold on. I got to stop sharing. And I didn't realize it doesn't come right up again. Okay, let's see. I only have one picture that I use. Okay, see that picture?
Yep.
I was sitting on your nanny's quilt with Samantha at my feet.
I remember that. You sent me a picture.
I know. I
with
couldn't
her
find
playing
it. I
on
was
it.
looking for it. I couldn't find it. I thought, well, I'm going to show you anyhow, just because I really, really appreciated that gesture. It's touched my heart.
Yep.
Once you started in the leagues, and you were working, even when you became of age, which would have been 18, or how old? 18.
Yeah, 18 to buy tobacco.
Okay. This is a question about the money, actually. Once you became of age, now you were in charge of your money. Did your mom continue to work, or did what happened with her? What was going on in her life?
Yeah. I had told her, yeah, she continued to work and still works today. Unfortunately, I was not able to make enough money to retire her, which was something that clearly I think any son would or daughter would want to do that, retire their parents. And so, yeah, she continued to work. I was in charge of my money. Financial literacy was not a thing in my household, in our household.
It's not for many people.
Yeah.
How did that go? Did you burn through it, or what happened with that?
So we grew up with not much money at all. So I think what happens in a lot of these instances with athletes or people that come across a larger amount of money in a short time is you want to buy everything you never had. And I wouldn't say I was frivolous, but I was definitely loose with my spending, with my friends, with my family. We would have big Christmases. I bought a car, when I was 18. I bought my mom a car. I bought my dad a car.
Nice.
Paid off my mom's debt at one point.
Nice.
So there were a lot of things that were good gestures. Looking back, were they smart? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. Like, I owe, gosh, so much to my mom.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, and you didn't have anybody who You didn't have the knowledge that you have now about
Right.
how, when you have money, what do you need to do with it to have it work for you instead of it be gone? So we're both in real estate, and a lot of people would say, why would you want to, buy a house? Why don't you just keep renting? Well, no, there's good reasons. Tax reasons, lots of tax reasons. And there's also the appreciation, and the fact that eventually you're going to own it, even if you weren't a real estate investor, if you're just buying for yourself, like one property. So I get that. I completely get that.
Yep.
Now,
I want to touch on one thing regarding that real quick.
sure.
As whether you're young, you're old, and you're getting into sports and you're getting a lot of money, what happens is they push you to working with a financial advisor. And after having a financial advisor for, 16, 18 years, however long I had one, I don't like it. I don't like it for the main reason, depending on the type of financial advisor it is. Because what happened with me, and me being ignorant and not doing any due diligence and not doing any research on, what the best practice is to grow wealth, or invest your money while you have it. They send you to a financial advisor, be it Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, whatever it is, and they go invest it in the stock market. Okay. Well, these financial advisors, great. That could be a great solution for some people that have a consistent income for a long time, and they want to, invest long term into stock market. Well, for athletes, for me, my personal opinion, what happens is you put money in the stock market, your financial advisor gets paid a fee every year to invest your money, no matter what the stock market does. Right. So we all know the stock market goes up and down all the time. And again, I won't get into my personal beliefs more than I believe the stock market is manipulated by a certain group of people that have a lot of power, right? And so they can buy and sell stocks to make the stocks do whatever they do. And so after just learning that over the last few years, I truly believe that there needs to be more education, not just with athletes, but athletes just are always in the limelight. And you always hear the stories like, within 3 to 5 years, even if you made millions of dollars, a lot of athletes go broke. Well, the reason is because we're not preparing ourselves for after our career is done. Our life doesn't end when we stop playing. It actually just begins, and we have to learn how to get into reality, really, is what ends up happening. And when you are making, let's just say, when I first made my debut, the league minimum for the major leagues was around 400,000, right? Okay, 400,000 sounds like a lot of money.
What do you mean sounds? Isn't it?
It is a lot of money
Okay.
until you pay 53% taxes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I played in
That's the
California.
part that I was like, tell me you didn't pay 53% taxes.
See, this is where having a financial advisor is not very beneficial, because you don't get to write off any of your income. Now, if you have if you have an investment strategist or tax strategist or a financial planner or somebody that can help you offset income while buying assets that will continue to pay you over time. That's not discussed with the majority of financial people.
That's unfortunate.
It really is, because we're kind of athletes or people that are high net worth. They seem to just be people that are used for a particular amount of time until that faucet is turned off and you're no longer making money. Now you're no longer good to certain people, right? And so you're no longer putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year into their investment portfolio, which is paying them a fee. And so once that stops, now personally, you have to start dipping into principal because you didn't invest in assets. And so, it's a deeper thing for me, that I truly believe athletes need financial education, and they need to get into investing in assets rather than liabilities. The jewelry, the cars, the parties, anything you can think of. You think of a, professional athlete, that happens so much. And then on the other side, there's a guy by the name of Marshawn Lynch, okay, running back in the NFL. he didn't touch a dollar of the money he made via contracts. All he used is, he had alternative types of income, whether it be endorsement deals or investments, whatever he did. I'm not exactly sure, but he didn't touch his principal because he was taught at whatever age to invest your money in stuff that's going to pay you off over time. And so what we need people to teach athletes, look, whatever your income is, use that while you're making it to put into assets that will cover the cost of whatever it is that you spend every month. For me, it was like 10 to 15 grand a month I was spending. And so in reality, I should have been investing in something that allowed me to create ten to $15,000 a month in income
Right.
to pay for my expenses once I retired.
Right.
So
Exactly.
now, obviously, I've learned that over the last few years, and I'm trying to build up to that
Yep.
through real estate.
Right. How interesting. And actually, you know what? I would go as far as saying that should be taught to everyone.
True.
Because, you can finish high school and work at McDonald's, or you can get a degree and get a high paying job, whatever. But whatever you do, whatever your income is, I think that, that philosophy needs to be taught, that you don't want to spend everything you have, and you don't want to invest it in things that aren't building your wealth, and that, don't minimize taxes, and that don't allow you to replace your income. So that you can replace your W-2 and off you go. It's good, whenever you want to retire. So I think that it hits athletes more because of the large numbers they face. Same with actors and things like that. But I think it's also education that everybody should get. Money should be discussed in school. It should be discussed, and it should be taught as a core subject. If it did, then I think our entire country would be much better off for it, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah, and that was the exact question I was going to ask you, is coming from the education space. I don't know how much you got into elementary level schooling or high school schooling. Is that ever a topic that is discussed amongst the staff, amongst the teachers, amongst the people who are creating the curriculum? Like, is there ever communication amongst, your peers that talk about that subject? Like, look, we are not a financial literate country.
Right.
Like, why
Right.
is there a deeper reason why it's not taught? Like, do they not want us financially literate? Do they not want us to know the tax, the
Yeah. I
tax
remember
rate?
taxes are always such a big shock. The first time you get, work as a youngster or whatever, you're 14, you're 16, whatever, and you get your first job, a real job, and then you don't get the money that you make.
Yes.
That's always a big shock. I can't answer that question for you, Daric. I got my degree in education, and this was in Boston, elementary through high school. It's an unusual degree, but I did. And my then husband was going through the Harvard Business School. Well, the Harvard Business School is all about business and money. And I did everything I needed and got a little bit of a start in education just to, fulfill everything on the degree. And then I said, wait a minute, I love educating and I love kids, but I'm working for nothing. No. I will only teach when I can afford to do it out of the goodness of my heart alone. And I didn't teach. Instead, I went into many different businesses throughout my adult life. And as you know, I, at one point ended up in the education system again through the UC with managing 7 PhD and master's programs. So I was the only person, one individual. When you get into the graduate programs, the university has one person who isn't faculty, not faculty, and not a student. One person. So I managed a lot, including scholarships and education, many, many things. But that wasn't the same. And then when I went to Vancouver, I was hoping that I could one last effort at straightening out my family life. I was pretty much didn't need to work to that degree, but I said, I want to get into education. And they said, oh, yeah, you got to go back to school for at least 2 years. I was like, no, I'm not. So I found another way to get into education, and that was teaching 16-year-olds up to 72-year-olds for English as a second language, because Vancouver, British Columbia is the second largest city in the world for teaching English after London. So that was my teaching experience.
Got it.
I can't tell you what they think. I personally think that people who put their kids through, who go through Harvard Business School, they usually involve their kids. Now, ours is different because, I don't want to get into too much in case he ever sees this, but, he wasn't involved to the degree that I would want. And even now he's not.
Yeah.
So they didn't get that benefit. But I think that when you come from a family that has the knowledge and that has a lot of money, they usually do teach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't know.
It's unfortunate that it's not like everyone. Everyone should learn.
It should be prerequisite. I truly do believe that. Balancing a checkbook, even though not really many people use checks anymore, just economics, microeconomics, macro, just like how money works, right? When we realize that they just can print more money, why are we paying taxes anyways if they're just printing more money? So again, I agreed we won't get into any political things, but I will say I'm glad they're looking into getting rid of income tax. If that can save the average American family 30%.
Now we're getting into politics, because the first thing that comes to my mind is, how do we maintain the roads? How do we maintain the hospitals and everything else? Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to get into politics.
That's okay. I won't either. I'm just, the more money.
What's interesting for anyone who's watching this is that Daric and I come from completely different camps. And as a result of that, many people would expect for us to really dislike each other. My son is gay, and he is married to a transgender man, and they're leaving because if he cannot get his required medication, he will die a very slow, painful death, because you don't get to transition, which takes a very huge amount of, whatever commitment and pain and everything else, and then say, okay, stop. Oh no, you go back. No, it doesn't work that way. So, you can imagine where I fall on the election. And yet I know very clearly that Daric is exactly on the opposite, which is one of the reasons we don't bother getting into the politics. I love Daric. I love him for the person he is. And I refuse, and I think he would feel the same way, refuse to let politics dictate who I am going to admire and be friends with. Because if I were to say, and there are a lot of other people that are in my circle that fall in a similar place as Daric, whereas if I said, I'm not talking to them anymore, it frankly would divide more. So, we can touch on some topics and we can laugh about certain things, and we know that there's, a lot of division, but the human to human relationship is, in my opinion, paramount. It's paramount. Daric is not only is he a really great person and a great American, but he has a fantastic family. So,
Thank you.
I mean, and we've already touched a little bit on your mom and your grandmom. And it's an aside. I wasn't expecting for this to come up, but it is a very interesting thing, isn't it, Daric?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, it is very interesting. This is one of the things I continually tell people. I can disagree with people until I'm blue in the face, but that should never detract us from friendships, from relationships, we don't have to agree on anything, whether it be money, whether it be sports, whether it be, the division is so bad. We can agree to disagree, still hug it out, still go to dinner. We can continue to have those disagreements, but it not change the dynamic between, like you said, person to person, human to human. It doesn't have to do that. And so I'm grateful that you're open to agreeing to disagree and still have me in your life.
Absolutely. The things that draw me are principles, ethics. How do you treat other people? What kind of work, what do you feel about work? Do you feel like you shouldn't have to work and that, everybody's, owes you something? What do you feel towards your children? What do you feel towards how do you feel about people who crossed you?
Oh, God.
Sorry, that's me. That's me. I was anyhow. The people. I'm just kidding. I'm actually gotten better. I'm starting to actually forgive people who have crossed me. I was telling Daric, okay, now it's going to come up. Before we got on, I got a call from my attorney in Vancouver, and the estate in Vancouver is it's dragged out. You talk about, the ups and downs and the financial people taking advantage of it. Well, the same thing happens when a estate goes through probate. The administrator, they've gotten fat. Oh my God. Anyhow, my attorney says, hey, we're reviewing everything and we got a little bit of a glitch here. We don't know what's going on. I informed Daric that he was asking me, in your father's will, it says that he has plots, burial plots for everyone in the family. But then later on, we see that your brother gets one plot and that your sister doesn't want to be buried with them. So she's going to sell her plot and nothing about you. And I was just, emailing him back. That's because it's par for course what I got from my dad my whole life. I was the firstborn female. So he really hated me. He hated me for being born a female. And I was a Canadian girl, so I chose to be Canadian, not Greek. And he hated me for that. And I married a Canadian man. Fuck, he was furious. And then I wanted my dad to pay for my then husband to go through the Harvard Business School. What the hell? So he had so much fury towards me that when it came down to it, he didn't buy a plot for me.
Which is petty.
Worse than petty.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to him. I said, it's par for course. He just is, punishing me my whole life. and then we came on and he was emailing me back again. No, we can't let this stand. We got to talk about this. And I'm like, I'm on my podcast. I'll call you later. But I have actually reached the point where I have forgiven my father. And
that's hard to do.
Well, I never thought I would do that ever because he almost literally killed me one time. That, somebody tries to murder you. You don't really usually often say, that's okay. And now as a grown woman and all, I know that that's a huge sign that you need to, protect yourself and get away. I was protected by the school district. I was removed from the house and such. But to go back and try and reconcile many times, some people had said, and Jamil Damji is a big one on this, oh, you should be grateful for everything that's happened to you because it's brought you to where you are. And I have had words with him. This was like 2-3 years ago. I was like, no fucking way am I going to be grateful for that goddamn asshole for putting me through what he did just because of who I am. And he did the same thing to my son when he found out that he was gay. He refused to acknowledge him in the will as a boy. So he acknowledged him as a girl, giving him the same amount as he gave to the granddaughters. The guy was evil. He was just evil. But I just didn't ever think I'd get to the point where I would actually forgive him. I am not thankful for him because he should have been a more decent human being. But I am thankful that I was able to survive and to overcome. And I have forgiven the hate I have held on to because it doesn't serve me.
Yeah, it takes a strong person to be able to do that. I don't think I hold on to things, even small things, because like you, morals, ethics, integrity, the little things really bother me and I hold on to them for a long time. So I commend you for something of that nature. You were able to forgive. You'll never forget, clearly. We know that.
Only recently. It's only been like maybe in the last half year.
And how much Or if, did it feel like a ton of weight was lifted off of your shoulders at that point? Like, did you feel anything internally?
What I felt is that it's up to me to transform my life to what I want it to be and what it will be. My life is super exciting. I know where I'm going to be in 5 years. That is amazing. And my future self wasn't holding, when I look in the future, my future self isn't holding on to that. My future self is really happy. And in thinking about what do I need to do to get there, I realized that one of the things is not to hold it onto it because it's not serving me. So I feel like more than it's a weight off my shoulders. Yes, it's a weight off my shoulders, but more than that, there is a joy in overcoming it and getting over it, and that I am on the other side without it. Yes,
Yep.
same thing with my siblings. My brother, I have good reason to hold on to harboring everything with him because grew up in Canada also, so he had a choice. He didn't have to be like my father, but he became a little mini me, and he was happy to try to get as much of the will as he could. Blah 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 blah. You know. So the point is to get over that and say, you know what, that was back yonder.
Yeah.
At one time I was working 6 freaking jobs to break that will. And it's taken such a long time and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm grateful. And I got more than my father wants me to get. So I am happy to have broken his will. And that's enough for me. I did the hard thing in doing that. And I have been able to let go. I've been able to let go because I'm looking forward to where I need to get. In 5 years, I want to be there. And that means I have to be super efficient, I have to be very hardworking, have good health, and good mindset. That part there was like a little rot, a little decay, and, whatever you want to call it, in my heart and in my brain.
Yeah.
And I have breathed air to it, and that rot is gone. So,
Good.
and when I was working at the University of California, I had a PhD student he was in going back to Thailand, and his father was in the government, and he was gay, and he really didn't want to go back, but he was going to have to go back. And the day before he left, he came into my office and he said, "Mrs. Colbins, I don't know what to do. I need your help." And I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes, "I got robbed yesterday and they took my passport and they took my money and all my credit cards and I don't know what to do." I was like, "Holy shit, sit down." Pulled out the Kleenex, you got to cry. No, I'm okay. I'm like, "Gotta call the police. And, I was like, those motherfucking, I've always sworn wherever I've gone. And I said to him, may they have to spend every penny of that money they stole from you on medicine. And that was a Greek expression that my mother had taught me. That if somebody does you wrong, they take your money, you just curse them to make sure that they have to spend it on cancer medication or whatever. And
Bad
that they
karma.
still
Yeah.
don't get well. Bad karma. And he looked at me and he was mortified. He was like, no, Mrs. Colbins, no. I said, what do you mean no? He had a couple of bruises, but nothing really bad. And they took everything and now he couldn't get on the plane, the whole thing. I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, no, I called my mother yesterday because I was really, he's a grown man, mid-20s or so, but closer to 30. But still, he called his mom, hey, what should I do? And she said, son, they did it in the wrong way, but your money just helped someone who needs it so much more than you. Know that your money is doing someone some good. And I said, holy shit, that's not the way Greeks think. I was like, you guys think that way? And he goes, well, it's true. And I was like, so is the fact that they should spend it on medicine. So I had seen that philosophy decades ago. I don't quite, I feel like I'm a fighter. So if someone's going to try and take my money or someone's going to try and rob me or cheat me and stuff like that, I wish,
Yeah, I'm in that camp.
I might forgive later to get rid of it from me. But that's
Right.
the only way I actually survived to live through my teenage years. Otherwise, I would have died. But it is interesting, different countries, different philosophies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So little things I've always been able to say, is this worth my trouble? Is this worth the energy of that goes into negative energy? Is it really worth it? But if it's big, if it's something big, like, being beaten to the point where you should, almost died, where they don't give you a plot, a plot,
Right.
you know, those things, you can hang on to them if you choose. I mean, they're bigger things.
Right. Look, to each their own. We all deal with our issues differently, but at the same time, like let's just say not in the extreme circumstance, but like for instance, the guy that got beat up. Okay, so you get beat up one time, you get your stuff stolen, you say, okay, maybe he needed it more than I do. Well, if it happens again, are you going to say it again? And if it happens again, or like, where do you draw the line? For me, it's like, look, the sooner you stop allowing people to do certain things, within your capabilities, the sooner it stops.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And to be honest with you, he got special consideration from the embassy because of his father. And he didn't get on that. He was supposed to be on that plane that day. He got on a plane the day after. And honestly, I think that he probably thinks, man, Americans are not very good people.
Yeah.
I think that if he were to stay here and know that this is where he was going to stay, maybe his thought might have been a little different. But the fact that he was focused on just wanting to get out.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
a
Well,
very good point, because that person did it to this man. He's going to do it to someone else.
I promise he's not going to be the one to go rob somebody himself, even though he may need it more than the next guy because he has morals, right? The world is not a fair place. It never will be a fair place. We have to make our own way. We have to create our own path. And, the world doesn't owe us anything, right? And so even though a lot of us in our own little bubble may think that, reality is that it's not like that. Life is not fair. The cleanest, most pure as you can, as pure as you can be, people get cancer, kids get cancer, like non-deserving people get sick, deserving people non-deserving, bad people get good
In the
things.
lottery.
Yeah, like it's a world where it's an imperfect world, and we're here to do the biggest and best things that we can do in whatever we feel is our mission and our, like, what do we want to do, who can we help, like we can only do so much, and we can control what we can control, but I'll be damned if I allow people to take advantage of me and me not do something about it, because I'm trying to build a better life for myself and my family, and someone else is trying to take that away from me. There's no way in hell I'm just going to sit back and say, maybe they needed it more than I did.
Yeah.
So, but there's obviously people in each camp.
Yeah. I wonder what Jamil would have thought about that. I'll have to ask him sometime. Because with him, it's it is a lot of meditation and stuff. But I wonder what he would have thought, and whether he would have tried to get back at him if he, for example, if he had seen him, he knew who he was, or he could identify him. What would he do? Okay, Jamil, if
Well,
you're listening to this when it's posted, what they say, comment below. I've just recently started to do this thing and for the rest of you, anyone who's watching, please press like and make comments and subscribe.
and subscribe. Yeah, there you
And
go.
subscribe.
Well, touching on that, you wonder what Jamil thinks. So there's a lot of influencers, gurus, call it what you want to call them. They're in a place in their life where a lot of things are happening in a positive way. Okay. We don't see a lot of people that are in the trenches, that are that are in the pits of hell, that are going through really, really tough times and telling us, hey, just be positive, don't think negative about it. And it's really hard to listen to these.
Good point.
It's really hard to listen to people that are making millions of dollars a year tell you these things, because I don't really think they're in touch with reality with the average person. Now, they may have been at one point, but we don't know what they did in their past. We don't know what they did in order to get on the positive side of things, right? They could have been, and this is my personal opinion on wholesaling, right? So wholesaling could be a dirty game. Just in general, like there's a lot of manipulation going on. And hey, your house is only worth 100 grand, but I'm going to go and sell it for 150. Like ethically, morally, like that's hard for me to really grasp, some of these things that these influencers or these people that are wealthy say, because they have no day-to-day concerns when it comes to paying their bills. If I had all my bills paid and I didn't have to worry about money, sure, I would be out helping a whole bunch of other people too, and not just worrying about making sure my family's fed. So, their opinion sometimes I have to filter a little bit,
That's
just so I have to put it in perspective.
Yep.
Like, sure, you guys are doing financially. If everybody was financially free, the world would be a better place. Now, there would still be shitbags, right? There would still be bad people. But, the normal average American wouldn't be complaining that the eggs are $10 a dozen.
Oh my God. Yeah. What happened with that? I haven't had a television for over 25 years. So I like the fact that I have to think about what I'm going to watch when I'm looking at YouTube or whatever else there is. I do have a Netflix account, but I watch it once in a while, but not much. But I saw the price of eggs go way up like that. I actually took someone on the floor and I said, I'm sorry, is there a misprint here? I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I was like, why? And they're like, I don't know. I just work here. And I was like, what's going on? And I actually have been thinking, I wonder whether the town that I live in, it's called Brookfield. I wonder if they allow chickens.
Yes, we are wondering the same thing. We've looked into it. We have an HOA.
Oh, what'd they say?
Oh,
They
my
all
wife,
said we should all get them.
my wife is very smart when it comes to real estate. She's in real estate development, and this could be a segue into that. So she's very keen on looking at, what CCNRs or regulations or whatever. So I read the regulations. Now we live in a town called Queen Creek, which is now I think a city. But when we first moved here, it was like a town, a small farming town. Actually, I think it's the highest median income in all of Arizona, believe it or not.
Wow. No, I
Because,
believe it. I haven't been to your home yet.
well, you got to think of Scottsdale. Everybody thinks Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, like a bunch of rich people, right? Well, here we are in this small farm town. Well, in our CCNRs, it says the accepted animals or pets are generally recognized house or yard pets. Well, if you interpret it that way, which I do, Queen Creek, the city we live in, is a farm town. A generally recognized yard pet in this city, by God, chickens are generally recognized as a yard pet. So even
Same
though
with rabbits. Same with rabbits.
same with rabbits. So what if we wanted to have chickens? They say no poultry, but they say generally recognized house or yard pet. So you can make the argument that, hey, in this city that we live in, my neighbor right behind me, he's got 30 cows and 5 horses.
Well, then you should be able to have chickens.
Well, I should be, right? But then there's that argument with the homeowners association, which is a whole different subject in itself. I agree there should be no pink houses in our neighborhood. Right. I'm cool with them
Pink or
regulating.
cool pink?
Yeah. Anything other than an Arizona color.
There you go. Okay.
But yeah, I'm with you. I think we should all be allowed to have hens. I don't think we should be able to have roosters, as obviously they're a little bit more disruptive and loud and aggressive. But yeah, with the price of eggs, luckily there are so many farms around here that on Facebook, I found a lady that was selling a dozen for $5 of free range
Nice.
eggs from their backyard.
Nice. Nice.
So yeah.
Well, you have to let me know if you get them or not. But I think that, you know what? Even if, like, well, it depends on what kind of chickens you have and how many. But even what, oh, it looks like maybe my internet's getting a little bit of an issue.
It froze for a second. You're okay now.
Yeah. If we were allowed to have chickens, then there wouldn't be a problem with the price of eggs.
Right. Well, I still think there would be because the average person's not going to raise chickens.
No, but if I was going to raise chickens, I'd want them to pay for their own ways. So
right.
I'd raise chickens for myself and my daughter and son-in-law and a grandbaby, and then I'd raise, I'd have enough, maybe 3, 4, so there would be a couple of extra. And then I'd be figuring out, okay, who wants to buy eggs?
Yeah, I mean, if you can sell them for $5 I'd pay anything less than the store's charging me. Let's just say that.
Yeah, especially if they're not, because you know where they're raised. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. Well, okay, so we are going to move on a little bit. So those of you who are not sure about politics, there you have it. We discussed it. I'd like us to take a look at your beautiful wife, Lindsay, and your boys. They're just awesome. And talk to us a little bit about what Lindsay is doing, because you and I are in the same investor groups, and yet we're doing different things. So talk to me first about what Lindsay's doing, and then I will transition to, the topic of ADUs.
Yeah, so Lindsay has a background in real estate development. And she's been working with the same company for, gosh, I don't know, close to 15 years on and off. I think she took a couple years off when her and I got together, and we wanted to start a family and do that thing. But she got back into real estate development, and currently they have 2 projects that they are working on. I'll start with the big one first. The big one is a little company called Margaritaville, which, as you may know, is a big resort. Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville, you think of like the older hotels from the 90s and the 2000s where you got the palm trees and all of the things. So this project is in Napa County, California.
And I love Napa.
Yeah, wine country, right? And so the need that they are meeting, right? So you have a very expensive hotel, which I don't even want to say the name because I'm not exactly sure, but call it like, $800 to $900 a night.
Nice.
And then you have like, the lower hotels, which is like, $100 to $200 a night, but the quality's not very good. But there's only like 2 or 3 different options for visitors that come to Napa. They get 3 million visitors a year in Napa, a wine country. Everybody goes and tastes the wine. Anyway, so they're under an LOI to build a Margaritaville resort on a lake in Napa County. So the plans as of right now, I want to say they have around 500 or 600 of these manufactured homes that they're going to be using on this development. And they're going to be separate buildings, but it's going to act almost like a hotel.
May I show the picture of that?
You can show the picture. I don't think that's the unit they're using. They are having a company called Cavco, is a manufactured home builder. They're custom building homes for this project.
So the picture you sent me is not what they're doing.
Correct. It's not the unit they're using, but it's the company that they're using. One of the companies that they're using to put on their development site. And there'll be individual cabins, if you will. And once they're all put in, it will be managed by Margaritaville. So people will own these units, right? Call it a house. They'll own this little cabin house. and then they will rent it out. So it's going to be a personal slash investment property for people.
They're going to allow them to rent them out?
Yes. So you get like, as an owner, I believe, don't, this is my wife's area of expertise. This is a little ADU. So the company offers this as small as this is, I believe, 480 square feet. So like people looking to put like one of these on the back of their property as like a mother-in-law suite or a guest house or whatever, they can crane it in, right? You get a crane and you put it on a foundation in your backyard. The wheels won't stay. That's just
Yep.
how they get it there.
Right. Is it considered a tiny home, a tiny house, or what's?
I don't believe so. I don't know what the regulations are on that verbiage. This is an ADU, or an additional dwelling unit. And so it acts as like a little tiny home, right? It's a one bedroom, one bath with a kitchen and, you know,
And
the
you
whole
said
thing.
it was 450 square feet.
I think it's like this one's 480.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, 480. It's a one bed, one bath, 480 square feet. But this is like the smallest one that they offer. And then, with this same company, you can go up to a four bed, two and a half bath, 2,700 square foot,
Wow.
triple wide type thing. Once you put it on a foundation, it's called a stem wall foundation, it becomes real property. So, from an investor's perspective, what I will be looking to do and what I'm actively searching for is to find a infill lot, or a lot that, you can build a home on, put one of these manufactured homes on, and then once it's affixed to a foundation and you get some certificate of occupancy, I believe that's what it is. Don't quote me because this is not my area. It then becomes real property, and then you can go get a traditional mortgage on it. So,
Wow.
FHA, it acts as like a single family home essentially once you affix it to the foundation. And these are HUD approved as well.
They
So,
are.
and so they pass whatever, regulations that, they have for HUD approved homes.
That's exciting.
And yeah, so with my wife's connections, we can get these at wholesale pricing through, because they have their dealer's license. And so, for me, it's like, okay, well, we're almost building profit into it when you're buying it, because you're buying it for, 20% less than retail, which gives you an extra, I don't know, ten or $20,000 profit, if you will. But back to the development, they're putting 500 or 600 of these little tiny. They might be bigger than this, a little bit bigger than this. But once they have it established, whoever owns the properties will be renting them out through the management of Margaritaville. And so it's almost like a cabin hotel type of thing where you can go and rent these things. I don't know what the numbers look like. That's not my thing. But it's a crazy big development that they're doing. And that's one of them. And that's, I think they're in the phase right now where they're getting, it's California, so you know how crazy California is with permits and wildlife. I know they have some osprey birds that nest in the trees that they have to make sure they don't mess up their home. But things are looking really good on that one. And then another project that they're doing is in Reno, Nevada, and it's a workforce housing. And so they will be using units like this, but I think they're going to be a little bit bigger. And I think there's two projects, but like three different phases.
Nice.
And I think in total they're doing an additional, gosh, 400 to 600 of these of these manufactured homes. And their strategy on that one is they're building them and then they're going to rent them out. So they won't sell them. It'll be like, that new model you see a lot of developers doing, build to rent. So they'll build these communities, get them stabilized, and then depending on, what that looks like, either keep them or maybe sell them to private equity or some big company, something like that.
So, curiosity then, when they're doing that, like you mentioned, build to rent in Reno, then they would be buying the land, and then they would need to go through the entitlement process and make sure that it gets electricity, and probably they're going to put. Wonder how whether they would put. I guess it depends on how big it is and how close it is to the city. Whether they run through city sewer or whether they do well and septic, but they'd have to get all that in place.
I think it's Brock. He just got back from his doctor's appointment. That's Effie. You remember Effie?
Brock,
Hi, Effie.
nice to see you.
You want to play with the microphone?
Nice to see you too.
Thank you.
All right.
Was your appointment good?
Yeah,
Nice. Thank you for saying hi.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I think they are doing city water and sewer, I believe.
Good.
That would be a lot of septics.
Yes, it would if it depends on the land and everything, but if it's not close to the city, how else would they do it?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is Lindsay. This is her expertise. And so if anybody has any development questions, she may be able to help with that. So that's what she's doing, along with she also does a little bit of transaction coordination on the side,
Nice.
mostly for one client who does multiple deals a month and is actually one of our partners. She's an amazing person, and we have a very good relationship. And
She's lucky. That partner is lucky.
let's just say it's a mutual lucky relationship.
Nice.
We are blessed to be able to partner with them. And Lindsay also has been a lot of help to her and her business. But yes, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, which I've learned is
Key.
not easy to come by.
But but it's key. You hold out until you get it.
Yep.
I have a question on these Cavco. Is that right? Cavco?
Cavco is one of the manufacturers, yes.
Okay. Because I understand California. I know, I mean, I lived there for 14 years. I love California. But my understanding is that, as you know, we say it's not investor friendly for realtors. However, they're a little bit progressive when it comes to knowing that there's really a shortage of housing. And there are many places now, as you described it, this was going to be a development where they're more like cabins. Oh, by the way, I want to ask you, when you buy that cabin, do you buy the land too, or just the cabin?
No, so interestingly enough, it's federal land.
What?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say about it. I don't know if
Wait. Are you telling me that this is Trump's project? Trump
no.
said, I want that land.
Funny enough, no, because
That's hysterical.
this was started under the last administration. However, uh, there was a certain time frame on the lease of the land
Ah,
that wasn't maybe ideal long term. Like it was many decades of a land lease, but it wasn't like the maximum amount of time. So alluding to this administration, they have already come out and say they're going to enable people to use federal land for building and whatnot. And
are they going to extend it?
short answer is yes.
Is it over 100 years?
No,
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think there's some law that states it can't. I don't know. I don't believe it is. I think it's just shy is what they're aiming for.
Okay. Just shy of 100.
I believe so.
Yeah. That's the Canadian model too.
Yep.
Like UBC, University of British Columbia, is built on endowment lands, which means like crown lands, like,
Yep.
you know,
Queen of England.
federal or provincial state land. And they have some a beautiful area, very expensive to build there. And it's in the same way, that whether it's built or whether it does change hands, the maximum you can own it is for 99 years. After 99 years, it reverts, and they probably will sell it again, but it's up
Yep.
to them. And, it's like this land is only yours temporarily. You're
Yep.
leasing it, so to
Yep.
say. They call it a loan, but it's when you realize, wait, it's not forever. I can't pass this down to my kids. Then you realize, oh, okay, that's a different model because the land is there for the good of all people.
Yep.
So this is the same situation. So you're going to own it for a number of years, and then eventually, when you pass, you can take your house and move it. That's your house belongs to you. You can move it. But in Vancouver, of course, they're all on foundation and all, as would these be.
Yep.
But you don't own the land.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Mexico is like that as well.
Interesting.
It's a 99-year land lease, if you will.
Okay, so back to the ADUs. California is one of the leading states in allowing homeowners to add an ADU.
That's
As long
right.
as there's some specified space, but they're cutting edge on that.
Yep. I believe San Diego is allowing up to 4 ADUs on a property, given enough
You have
space.
to have enough space. And although a lot of us real estate investors and Americans as a whole sometimes might begrudge this expression, the world knows it's a fact. Where California leads, the rest of the country follows. It's just a matter of when.
Yep.
So there will be a lot of resistance in certain things, but eventually, and California, is so massive as a state economically and also economically. But how very interesting. I love that you're into this.
Yeah. I personally, I feel like with affordability being at like an all-time low, if that's the right way to say it. Like everything is so
Unaffordability is at an all-time high. Affordability is at an all-time low. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am hoping that other states, which Arizona has followed suit with California in allowing these additional dwelling units to be on properties. Now, again, there's regulations on where you can do it and whatever, but at least they've opened the door to it. So what we're trying to do is help investors either one, if you're going to do development, like a new build, obviously this is not going to work in an area where there's $1 million homes, stick builds. And so area is key, but it's an option for additional income. It's an option for me personally. I don't want to put either one of my parents in a home when they get older. And my wife and I talk a lot about this, is that our generation doesn't seem to want to take care of their parents once they get to a certain age for whatever reason. Now, previous generations, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like there were a lot more, family oriented, I don't want to call them compounds, but communities where, once your parents get to a certain age, you bring them back to where you are and you help them if you can, opposed to sending them to, senior living facility, which also is growing like crazy with the baby boomers.
Yep.
But yeah, I
Yep.
think
That is new. And that's why it was, I'm sure, a huge guilt on people who had put their parents in, old age homes, and then COVID wiped them all out,
yep,
and you couldn't
yep,
even go to see them and say goodbye. So I'm sure that might be making other people rethink. But yeah, you're right. You're right about that. That's something that is relatively new. And I think the ADUs have a very good place for that.
yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. They definitely do. And not just ADUs, like just access to having these homes. Like for instance, if we were to order, because everything's made to order, right? So you go and you find a floor plan.
Where is it made? I've wanted to ask, and I keep forgetting.
So there's Cavco has manufacturing facilities throughout the United States. So I believe there's one here in Phoenix. I believe there's one in North Carolina or Tennessee, one somewhere out there. There's actually, let me just look at their website.
Because
They're all throughout the country: Texas, North Carolina, Arizona. Yeah, they're all
so
throughout.
American made.
Yes. Now, we were just told that with tariffs going on, the prices have slightly increased, obviously.
No, wait a minute. Why? Because of the wood?
All of the components, I believe, just whatever they're bringing in from offshore. I don't think it's a crazy amount, right? But
Yeah,
any
yeah.
amount, I don't,
Because
I don't,
the price for the labor already would have been high, because it's in the states if they're in the states. But yeah,
could be. Yep.
I my God, it's so funny since the election. My feed had, because I'm also a Canadian citizen. I've been getting some of these things that come in about, we are Canada, and I'm like, yeah, go. And one of them was showing a map of all the different kinds of trees there are in North America, and how most of Canada is where the trees are that we want to build. There's some softer woods, but not a lot. And America has already been, treed out, so to speak. So, yeah, I know on a Zoom the other day, I was saying I commented that construction is going to go up. I think it was on the one with Pace, I'm not sure. And they said, no, that's not likely. I said, no, it will, in my head. The wood is going to be way high,
Yep.
because if
Yeah.
it's not
There's,
coming from Canada, it's got to come from someplace else. It's going to be even further away.
yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be an adjustability period with the market, but again, economics and is not my strong suit. I don't like. You want to talk baseball? I'll do that all day long. But when it comes to tariffs and how all of that works, I'm going to leave that to the experts.
Yeah, I
And
agree. I agree. But we just don't have that many trees in the States that are suitable. So I can
yeah,
see that that would be something that probably would adjust the price. But
yeah. But on a cost basis and timeline wise, once your land, right? So you got to get a perk test. You got to test the soil. You have to have a whatever it is that development does to prepare the land to see where you can build. Once that's done, the build time on these is, we've been told through our connection with them, 4 to 6 weeks.
nice.
Now we tell people 6 to 8 weeks just to give a buffer, and we want to underpromise because we have no control over the manufacturing. But because they're ordering so many through them, they kind of give us preferential treatment
Nice.
and help with the build times. Not only that, but through Lindsay's connections, when it comes to any of the soils reports or the site work stuff, they do things at a different cost than if you were to just go do it from your local land guy or whatever. I don't even know what they're called. So there are a few different benefits of these things other than just cost, but cost is a main one. Like, you know
Yeah.
if you were all in on something like this, land, building, install, for say 200 to $225,000, and even if you list it at 300 to 350, give or take, I mean, the profits, the quicker you can turn these things over, like that's where the benefit is. Like if you're just doing a one-off, maybe a stick build might be more beneficial. I don't know what those costs are, price
Yep.
per square foot,
Yep.
but these are relatively affordable based off of what your retail resale value is. And so that's why it's interesting to me. Plus Lindsay's in development, so like we have, why I didn't think about this sooner, I don't know, but using what you have and what you have access to and the resources that you are tangible to you, now it makes more sense to me. Like, okay, well, I should have been doing this the whole time, but learning along the way has been
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Because there's so
instrumental.
much in real estate that you can't help but look at a lot of stuff. I'm curious about infill lots. Sound like they would be a good thing. But would you need it to be relatively close to one of the manufacturing plants? Like, is it economic to have this built in Arizona and shipped to Seattle? I mean, what about that part? The transportation? Do they transport? How do they transport them?
Yeah, so
They're not
they
wheels, but are they being pulled by semis, or are they put on trains, or
semi trucks.
Semi-trucks.
Semi-trucks. Yeah. So
So we could see one of these buildings actually on a road.
So have you ever been driving on a freeway and you see a semi-truck that's carrying what looks like a manufactured home and there's a big sign on the back that says oversized load? That's typically one of these. If you think of like a mobile home type thing, right? So people, some people think when you say manufactured home, they think mobile home park, you know, average quality at best, still panels on the walls inside. Not necessarily what these are, same concept. However, the Cavco manufactured homes are better quality because they do drywall inside and just the finishes are better than you would find in a mobile home, right? So there's another manufacturer called Clayton, which is owned by Warren Buffett, I believe. And those are more on the mobile home quality,
I see.
if you will. So probably a little bit lower on the price scale,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks like it's going to be lower on the price scale. It's not built to be a permanent structure affixed to a foundation.
Yeah.
It's meant to go in a mobile home park. Now, I think Clayton does have homes you can affix to foundations, but the quality is just not.
The same.
There's different
as what they're
tiers of
focusing.
quality.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. That's interesting. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And the really cool one that we haven't mentioned yet. Now this is a company based out of Texas. It's called Legacy Housing. And they have this cool unit that's made more for like workforce housing, oil field, or building a refinery or projects that might not be but 5 to 10 years long. They have this unit that is, what are the dimensions on this? I think it's 16 foot wide by 80 feet long. And there's 5 individual units on this unit. It's a one building and they each have their own full bath and full kitchen. And it's a very cool unit. Like, I don't know if it would work for co-living. In my mind, I would love for it to work for co-living because rather than sharing a whole house, you have your own room, your own kitchen, your own bathroom, right? And there's 5 different units. So that's really cool. I don't
So it has
know.
its own bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and living room. Did you say?
The living room,
I'm sorry.
well,
Repeat what you said.
yeah, well, bathroom, it's its own bathroom, its own full kitchen, and then I don't know if it's like a studio setup where the kitchen and the bedroom, like they're not big rooms. There's 5 beds, 5 baths at just over 1193 square feet of livable space. So what is it, like a 10 by
5 bedrooms, 5 baths.
yep.
So
And
they're
I
not
would
sure. They're not. There is no common area. It's like you said. It's studio. Take
correct.
a
Let me
look.
see if I can
And did
share
you say
my
kitchens? Each has their own kitchens because that's wasteful.
yes, it does have its own. Let me see if I can share my screen.
There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so
Wow. Whoa, slow down, boy.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get to the
No, it's interesting to see.
overview of it.
Oh,
So right here,
oh,
let me blow this
oh,
up.
nice. Okay, that's
So
one unit,
this is one building, yeah.
huh?
And so each one has its own full bath,
Yeah,
its own kitchen. And then the bedroom is kind of like the bedroom and the living room in
yep,
one
yep.
because it's really not meant to be a full-time thing. It's meant to be a workforce housing where you can, you know,
Yes,
stay for a couple years or however long your
I like
project
it.
is.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool setup. I'm assuming it has to have its own little place for it. Now, in South Texas, they're doing a lot of like oil refineries. They're building oil refineries.
Hmm.
And so I think it would be a good option for the workers. Now, the quality, you're still getting the paneling. I don't know if you can see the detail
Yes,
on
you
this.
can.
But here, I guess, is where your TV would go. But, the construction is not long term. It's not something that you're going to live in for the rest of your life. But it is a cool, and that's the bathroom, and this is where the bed goes.
Interesting.
And I believe this little hole in the wall is for an air conditioner or something.
I gotcha. That is interesting.
But
Um,
yeah, that's a
I like the name workforce. That makes sense.
yeah. And so there's just so many options,
Could you go back
depending
to it
on
for 1 second, though?
yep.
I'm curious about one thing.
Share screen.
It only has one point of entry and one point of exit. Is that right?
Yes. So this is not an actual unit from what I can see here. I know people are like, "Oh, these other rooms, you have to jump into your room." No, there will be stairs that will be set up, on the front of these. But that is the entrance. That's, where you go in.
Yep. So when you
And
go into the drawing, the schematics for it, yeah, you can see it has two windows and a door. Okay. Because legally, for any, my understanding is to be able to have any space where there's a human, you need to have 2 points of exit. A
okay.
door would be one and a window would be the other.
Yeah. And so I
Ideally, you
believe,
want them a little further apart than that, but all for the case of fire. It's all for the case of fire. Like, how does a person get out? And, when you've got the two windows in the front and whatever it is, at least one window and a door, I guess that's that counts.
yep.
What's
So
AC? Is that? Oh,
I
I
believe,
got it. Oh, that's a P. Okay, got it. So you have the one door and the one window. That's fair.
yes.
That's fair. That meets the meets Effie's requirements.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
Nice.
those are, and this is just another one of this is a Cavco home. It's a 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,750 square feet. But like when you build them, they're not super terrible quality. Like this is probably a setup that, I mean, for me, if I had to live in a manufactured home, this is a pretty nice setup.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
I
you
agree.
know, you're not going to
They
get,
wouldn't qualify as co-living because they're not sharing the kitchen. They're not sharing a common space. If it were like the let's say like it was 5 bedrooms, right? Let's say there were 5 bedrooms, but in the middle, because you only need one kitchen, there was a kitchen, and somehow they could all get to the kitchen. Now that's be a little tough because there's not too much width. Let's say the width was on the outside, like you added width on the outside in the kitchen, one kitchen for all of them, then that would be co-living.
mm, yeah. So here's a pretty cool one. Let me share my screen again. So this one here,
Oh, interesting.
so here's a 4 bedrooms, and they do have a combined area for living and dining.
But they have two.
Yep. So you can either get one, right? So this would be just one unit, so half of this. So it would be a 2 bed with a combined living dining area. Or you can get the double wide one, which then doubles that and gives you 4 beds and two combined living and dining room areas.
Mm, I got it.
And that, yeah.
And if
So,
you were in co-living, what you would want to see is one of those living in combined areas, a bedroom. You'd want to see 5 bedrooms and one kitchen because you can do that. I mean, one kitchen, 5 bedrooms is not that much for one kitchen.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
average co-living can be easily, well, it depends on the size, but that one, why do you have, is it 2 to 1? That's pretty nice. You wouldn't do that in co-living. It'd be too wasteful. Kitchens
Well,
are expensive. Kitchens and bathrooms are your most expensive.
it
So
depends on what your strategy is. Like for me, I would rather share my kitchen with one person than with 4 people.
they'd have to charge more for that than if one of those, whether it was 5 bedrooms and one kitchen. Absolutely.
Well, you might not have to because the cost is lower for one of these homes than a traditional home would be, right? And
Oh,
so
gotcha. Yes, yes, yes. I hear what you're
with
saying.
that,
Mhm.
your expenses might not be as high, so therefore you could probably charge. I mean, you're I'm not a co-living person, you're a co-living person. You're charging for the amenities, right? You're charging, you get to stay in a room and you get to have a kitchen, whether that be $800 a month or whatever it is, if you have 4, that's still $3,200 a month. But if the house only costs,
Yes.
150 to 180,000,
Right. And you
your
don't
expense.
have to spend any money converting it. Yep.
So I mean,
And that one's in Texas. Huh?
legacy housing, yes, with the workforce is in Texas,
Interesting. Wow, I've learned a lot.
but they will ship. So you put them on a semi truck and they pay per mile, and what that number is, I don't know. I did have a guy tell me he called them and asked them what the delivery charge would be, and I don't know if it can't be $13 a mile because that would be
That's
maybe
okay. They'll find that will change. Even this is
right.
going to go up in an hour or two, but even in 2-3 weeks that could change
Sure.
because transportation is a big thing.
Yep.
Yep. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool opportunities with the manufactured homes. There's just there's a place. There's got to be the right place for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I am seeing that we are almost at 2 hours, which I think is fantastic. That's the longest podcast I have done. And as much as I might see it as a little frustration in the fact that it didn't go live, that doesn't matter.
That's okay. We could do another one.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So I just want to say thank you
Absolutely.
very, very much. And yeah, say hello to everyone in the family for me. And
We'll do that.
yeah, we will be doing this again. I also have on April 14th, I need a little bit of help. Okay. And I'm putting this out for anybody who's stuck this long into this podcast. I'll want your opinion. I will hit episode 100 in 100 or 200. Wait a minute. I don't know. It's up there. It's 2 years. It's episode 100 in under the brand of What the Effie. Trying to figure out what to do that could be special.
Oh, for your 100th?
Yeah. At first I was like, hey, who should my guest be? And, I only asked a few people and they all, volunteered their best friends. And I was like, no, nothing against your best friends, but I'm looking for someone who is bigger than Pace and bigger than Jamil and bigger than Abraham. Because I've had them. I've had Abraham twice. I hope I have Abraham again. But, Pace and Jamil. Trying to think of what do you think I should do to mark 100 episodes?
Well,
I have to have already known how to turn this on.
yeah. We got to figure that one out first.
Yep.
Honestly, for me, if it were my 100th episode, and this may be, I would personally probably choose Pace myself for the fact that, first of all, he was probably the one that got you into it.
He and Abraham.
Right? They encouraged you to do a podcast. Pace saw you from the very beginning. Just going back and kind of going over everything that you've grown in and learned. And it's really because of him, right? Like we both got into his community together around the same time. And a lot has changed since then.
That's true.
It's changed in business. It's changed personally. And there's been a lot of growth through that whole time. And so because, I'm just thinking if I were in your shoes, I would be like, okay, well, this is this would be a podcast to one, say, Pace, look, this is where I'm at now. This is everything that I've done. And it's a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it was with your guidance. It's with your investment in me, and, personal opinions aside, he has a lot to do with a lot of people's growth.
I know.
And
it's not a bad suggestion at all. And if you guys are watching, I'd like your suggestions too. Comment below. Yeah, I'm getting good. Comment below. That's not a bad idea. I'll give it thought.
Because it's a special episode, right? So you don't want, I'm not
I need
throwing
to mark
shade.
it somehow.
yeah, I'm not throwing shade at anybody else or what they bring, but it's a milestone for you and it means something. And, it's a testament to your consistency and your ability to grow your network and grow your your podcast and how you've evolved one as a podcaster and as a person
That's
and the
true.
people. I don't know. I always go back to, who am I thanking when I get to certain milestones? Who
Yeah.
who do I owe a lot of my
Yep.
appreciation for?
Do you want to hear the really whack thing? And then we'll say goodbye. I
Yes.
can actually envision myself still doing this 5 years from now
Well,
and
just
eight
think,
years.
you can start doing podcasts strictly on the deals that you're doing and the projects that you're doing and its own little subsection of your podcast, like what the FE co-living, what the FE lending, what the FE, everything that you're doing. It's just now it can branch off with the more experience that you get.
Exactly. Exactly. But I have to still learn what's wrong with Riverside? Why can't I go live? That's so funny.
Well, who do you know that uses it?
There are a couple of people, but it's a big company. I mean,
What?
it
Maybe maybe you
more,
could do a podcast with somebody who uses it, and you could do a podcast on how to use it.
it's exactly what I'm going to have to do. I was thinking it when, early on, earlier when we first started, I was like, this can't happen again. I've got to, and we're going to figure out how to do this by going off here, coming back on here, going off here, coming back on here.
Yep.
Anyways, but all right. So thank you for your wisdom. I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, maybe I can do a little series on what you guys are doing.
Yeah, getting my wife, my man, she is so special.
No. And you guys make beautiful babies.
Thank you to her. Thank you.
To both of you, I think it's biology, genetics from both sides. I don't think it takes from just one. But yeah, you're just a beautiful family.
Thank you so much. I'm very
All right.
blessed. And now
Okay.
we have baseball practice.
Yeah. Okay, guys. We shall see you next week. Live, dare I say. All right. Thank you, Daric.
Thank you.